advocates whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood. Blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall. One wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to know why I'm here today? It's not because I want to give you a pep talk or because I want to make you feel good about yourselves. No, I'm here to tell you the truth.
All right, welcome everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Let's get a 1 or something in there just to make sure that I'm not muted. I've got a different microphone. I'll have a different microphone tomorrow because I broke my nice microphone on my trip to Moscow, Idaho, and so I'm using my backup mic. I'll have a better mic coming up in the future. So, okay, great. Got lots of ones. We now know that we're working. Thank you so much. Great to see everyone tonight. I love that our little family is growing. Every night it seems like we're starting off with a little better start. I remember 3 weeks ago, I would have chewed my right nut off in order. That's probably bad phrasing. I would have given a lot to get off to a good start. Now we're actually where the hell did that one come from? Anyways, let me say some hellos to people, let you know how the show is going to go tonight, what the plan is for the evening. Essie, welcome to the show as always. You oftentimes are the first person in, so welcome in. Robin, thank you, my co-producer to the show and extraordinaire backstage whatever, whip master, whatever. I could come up with a million titles for you. 1-1, also major part of the show. We've got Estes Crime Maze, Jason Estes backstage waiting to come on and Well, I got to hear what he has to say about my new video out today. I don't know if you saw it, but that video is doing very well on YouTube. Why do I look so huge on screen? I guess maybe I'm just leaning really close to my camera, or maybe I got something messed up. I'm constantly changing things. 1111, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in. 11, I really appreciate some of the help that you've been giving me, and I know that you're going to still continue to help me. So looking forward to getting some things on the backstage done with that. Ashley, welcome. Thank you. Lagertha's daughter. Am I pronouncing that right? But Lagertha, I bet you're going to be testing my chops on literature, because I'm like, why do I feel like I should know? Is that a name from literature? I don't know. Or is that just somebody's name? Like I have to, and if I'm slaughtering it wrong, I'll be like, oh my gosh, DA, read a book, read a motherfucking book. Anyways, yes, I drop F-bombs every once in a while. So let's continue on. Mama J, thanks for coming in. Welcome evening, she says. Lee, well, and to the mods. Ashley, again, I said that. Let's see. Amanda B, as always, does a lot of our great graphics. I am. Hey, y'all, and welcome to in. Let's see. I'm just going through the list to get some personal conversations. Open your peepers. Regular coming in now more and more. Hey, DA family, thanks for coming in and dropping in. And let's see. I don't have to go too much further probably to get to the Deborah Lindsay. Welcome. Is that a new name? No, I think I've seen that name before. Welcome, Deborah. Thanks for coming to the show. Again, I love that I can recognize some of these names. Love Tina 2010. Now that seems like a new name, but maybe I'm wrong. So again, now that I got it burned into my memory, I'll not make the mistake again. And so Love Tina says hi to Robin. Good. I'm not posting these things on. I'm not pinning these comments. It's going too fast unless Robin wants to grab it. But Molly Bledsoe, regular in the house. Penny from Idaho. Welcome, Penny, to the show. Thanks for coming as always. Let's see. And let's get to Dale Harrison. Now that's a new name. Margaret L, another new name that I'm not super familiar with. Great to see new names that I'm not super familiar with. Either that's my memory going, or we're getting more and more new people, and that's super cool. Cat Farm with amazing music stylings. Love that you just nipped in to say hi. Does that mean you're not going to stay very long? That's okay. But thanks for dropping in. Dagburn Johnny Gabble's dead floozy mother. Wow. Dadgum. Dagburn Johnny Gable's dead floozy mother. Wow. That's a freaking mouthful. And I'm sure I didn't say it right, but it's hilarious nonetheless. So thank you for that. Nicole Sears, regular. Thank you so much for stopping in. Let's see, or at least a name I regularly see. Maybe I normally see you over on Birdie. I don't know, but yeah, welcome. I see you. Cat's Mojo, DA says saying hi. Let's see. I love that I have to struggle a little to get through the names. The Canadian cat lady. Whew, I got to ring it all together. By the way, I love it when you guys tell me where you're from. So I'm going to guess. I'm just going to go out on a limb that Canadian cat lady could be in Canada. Of course, that's a big area, a very large area. So we don't know what part of Canada. But anyway, Zach, hello. And what else we got? Cheryl Fitzgerald from Florida. Evening to the denizens. Denizens. Nice. Nice wordplay. Well played. Let's see, because we call ourselves the Den, or at least we call our community the Den, the denizens. That's amazing. Like I think you just branded something right there on the fly. Margaret L, thank you for coming in. And let's see, what else do we got? We're almost to the bottom, and then I'll get us. Yeah, I think we are at the bottom. Woo! I did it in record time. All right, let me tell you a little bit about tonight and how I want to do things. I got a slideshow put together. I've got 5 topics or 5 cases. I think I've got 3 on tap to talk about. I've got 4. I feel like this is like 4 stage hands, 3 slides to go, and the friend, whatever. I don't know. I'm thinking I'm going off on a tangent, but I feel like when I start counting, I got 4 of these, I got 3 of these, I got 2 of these. You know where I'm going with it, but I just can't do it. But the point being is that I'm going to bring up my guests on stage in a second. Actually, let's do that before I get into the slides. Let's bring up our guests on stage. Let's see, do I get all of them with one shot? Is that all of our guests that are backstage? I know we're waiting still. We are waiting for, and let me unmute people's mics so they have a chance to talk when I address them. We are waiting, I think, for Joe from State of the Deep. He will probably be joining us as well. So let's go corner to corner and say hi to our guests. Robin, co-producer of my show, right-hand woman, and all those great things. How are you doing today, Robin?
I am doing well. It's great to be here in the den with all of the denizens. Love that word. That's awesome.
That's
so
like
great to see
gold.
everybody.
Yeah.
And of course, great to have you back.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, it really, by the way, I have to say, so when she says it's great to have you back, it's not like I haven't been working my ass off, but I have literally been in Boise, Moscow, Idaho, Pullman, Coeur d'Alene, back to Boise again. I've been on the road a lot, and it's funny because we had some talks, Robin and I and a few of our show minions and the people who help out the thing. And I said, here's the problem, like, you guys are going to have to run the show without me. And by the way, Robin, all you guys, thank you so much for holding the fort down while I was out of town. But I said, I worry about people who drop by who are new subscribers to the channel and go, does this guy ever show up to his own lives? And I literally had a post today that said that. DA, I've been on your show 2 times in a row. I haven't even seen you on your show. Do you do your own lives? And I'm like, oh my God. That's exactly what I was afraid of. So we're trying to strike that balance between being consistent and here every day, whether I'm here or not, because sometimes I'm boots on the ground, or having people go, gee, does DA ever go to his own shows? So anyways, that did happen. 1-1, how you doing now? Again, before you say too much, 1-1 is an NYPD officer of over 20 years. He helps out with our show as kind of a law enforcement advisor, clarification when he can from time to time, but he does not represent NYPD in any official capacity. Hence the reason for the incognito thing. No, 1-1 is not just the douche who thinks that it's super cool to wear his sunglasses at night. We're actually trying to hide his identity a little bit, give him a little bit of anonymity, because again, in no way, shape, or form can it be perceived that he is speaking on behalf of NYPD. And before I say, let you speak, 1-1, I have to say, I've got a news story today that specifically calls out NYPD. So I know that's going to be a touchy area. If you can't comment on it or you feel like it's a dicey area, that's fine. But I actually had somebody call out NYPD specifically as doing something improper. So I wanted to maybe get your take if you're comfortable. If not, you just remain silent. So how you doing, woman?
Let them burn.
Let them burn.
I'm good. It's great to be here. Great to have our chief content officer back at the helm. We missed you while you were gone. We had a great time. The mice will play while the cat is going. We had a good time. Robin did a great job. Esty was great too. So thank you for the opportunity to keep the show going. It's important.
You guys, it was so funny because you guys did me a huge service by keeping the show running and all those things. And I didn't realize what a control freak I was starting to become when I was feeling so much anxiety of watching other people run my show. I'm like, oh my God, like what is that? That's my show. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you control freak. Let it go. It's okay. They've got it. So Jason Estes from Estes Crime Maze. Today, I dropped a bomb, right? It's a witness extraction operation. Did I just say that on a video today? And I called you out in the video and said, Estes, I'm gonna wait. I can't wait to hear your opinion on that one. How you doing today?
We're live?
Oh yeah, you're totally live.
You know what I gotta do? Just a sec. Oh my God. Hold on.
He's in his bathrobe. Oh my God, yeah, you're in a bathrobe. That's amazing. Yeah.
First of all, real quick, hello, Den. And I want to thank our amazing audience for joining us tonight. Take off your slippers, would you? Maybe put on your house coat, sit down by the fire, join us for a while, and be prepared for a cacophony cavalcade of conversation.
Wow.
After all, this is the most entertaining true crime channel, I believe, on YouTube. You know what to do. Subscribe, hit that bell icon, leave a comment, all that good stuff. And that helps with the algorithms. And be prepared for tantalizing revelations on the Idaho 4 case. And finally, I want to tell my panel, especially Lee, today, that I believe that evil did not triumph that night on November 12th, 2022. I believe the beautiful, vivacious Kaylee Gonzalez, the beautiful, vivacious Madison Mogan, the beautiful, vivacious Xander Canoodle, and her strapping boyfriend, Ethan Chapman. I believe all 4 are alive. And with that being said, let's get at it. Go ahead, guys. Thank you for bringing me on.
Cacophony cavalcade of conversation. Like,
Yes.
did you just roll that out like that?
Yes.
A tititillating,
Titillating and
out.
tantalizing
Oh
revelation
yeah,
on the Idaho 4 and other
fantastic. Well, you were a poet and you didn't know it. That's amazing. Thank you for the cacophony of words that flew out of your face.
My pleasure.
And we did get Joe from State of the Deep backstage. So since we're doing introductions, let's go ahead and add him to the stage. And let's make sure that nobody's getting stepped on too much. Oh, yeah, you got the PsyOp shirt on. How you doing, Joe from State of the Deep? What's going on?
I'm good. How you guys doing? What's up, Dan? Good to be back in town. Good to be back in town.
I felt super bad, dude. Like after we, first of all, it's so funny. I grew up not being a hugger, and yet I went through a stage of my life. It may have been influenced by a spiritual revelation or opening, but I went from being a standoff and don't touch me, don't get anywhere near to me, to accepting people hugging me. But I think when we got together, there was an embrace. We pulled each other close, kind of gave each other a hug. On the way out, I just gave you I went back to the old DA, giving you a formal handshake, sent you on your way. And then I didn't even have the balls to say, hey, did you make it home on time? Like the next day, I'm like, shit, I wonder if Joe got home on time. I'm like, I am an asshole. So please forgive my lack of courtesy and warmness as I sent you on your way. Like, don't let the plane door hit you in the ass, Joe. I got work to do. See you later. But you did make it very calm, and I'm glad. So
yeah, you son of a bitch. The flight was rough. That was one of the roughest flights I've ever been on. It was storms the whole way. It was a shorter flight, so it's not the end of the world, but it went from like, oh, it's going to be a little bumpy as we climb up to cruising altitude to, you guys might have to keep the seatbelts on. We might hit some bumps going over the mountains to, I'm sorry, folks. I can't seem to find a smooth path of flight. And I mean, it wasn't just a little bit of bumps. It was, I don't get motion sickness, but I felt bad for the people that might be prone to motion sickness.
Oh my God. And you probably were you on a smaller plane or a bigger plane?
Smaller plane.
Oh,
the
yeah,
good thing about the smaller planes is you have more room in your seat.
Yeah.
In your seat and in front of you and stuff. But it's hard to like relax and like listen to a podcast or something and shut your eyes when the plane is bouncing you around the whole time. So,
I'm dating myself because I probably about 3 of you have a chance to know this reference, but all I saw in my mind was the movie Airplane from way back. And there was she's starting to shake. She's starting to shimmy as the plane's bouncing all over. Do you remember this? If you don't remember the scene, I'm not going to elaborate anymore. It was a scene from Airplane. That's all I saw in my mind when you were doing the bouncing around thing. Let's
put it this way. I was happy when we landed in Denver.
Nice.
Because it was not a pleasant flight. But DA, I just want to say, everybody, to all of you guys, to the den, I said this on our live streams. DA is exactly how you think he is in person. One can attest to this. It truly is a thing of beauty. I had a great time. We got to cruise the Idaho and WSU scene. I got to see lots of different parts of Idaho and Oregon and parts of Washington. A lot of driving, but some revelations. And then DA and I had a lot of time to sort of brainstorm ideas and talk about different ideas and just spitball. So it was really cool. It was a really productive trip, I think. I had a good time. DA and we were 2 peas in a pod. Everything was cool. We had a good time, and it was a great trip.
And I think, Joe, looking back, our conversations in the car are probably partly to deal with the video today, where I opened up my mind a little bit to Jason Estes. It's an extraction removal operation, because as we were working through things, we were doing the whole devil's advocate thing. Like, well, wait a minute, if it was that here, this would have to have happened, and this would, and as we worked through that on a long freaking 4 or 5 hour drive, we started piecing more and stuff together. And in my mind, I was like, I gotta noodle that some more. So Jason Estes, by the way, I mean, here's the thing. I would like to say, for the record, I have never said it couldn't be. I just said I don't think it's high on my list as being what happened, because I think there's more logical things. But as we worked through the logic, and as you saw in my video today, I thought to myself, a lot of this actually makes sense. More sense if something like that happened, at least with some. Now, I know you're saying still nobody died in that case, but I'm like, at least I can go with you now. Like, some of the explanations that happened would make sense if people didn't die and they're trying to cover up that revelation. So good on you, and hopefully good on me for opening my eyes a little bit and giving some space to it. And I was terrified a little bit to do it, because like I said, I was telling Robin, I said, look, we've talked for over an hour and a half, 2 or 3 days in a row about it's an extraction removal operation. It's not even my theory. Like, I don't want people tuning in thinking DA must think this is the case. And then I put out a video today saying, if it was an extraction removal, here's how it happened. So frick me. Anyways,
well, it shows you got balls, dude. And again, cock swagger. And you got to wonder
there you
why
go.
all these other YouTubers, most of them, they don't want to go there, man, because
yeah,
they don't have that swagger and they don't have the courage at this time. We'll see if they are going to take our lead and bring up the extraction remove operation. Because if they don't, as a possibility, then I think some of these guys and gals are misguiding us, or just a little too naive. I don't know.
I will say this, guys. It looked like Pavarotti actually is softening his stance a little bit, and made a comment very recently that he's been a little hard on other creators, that maybe he needs to step back a little bit and realize we're all working for the same common purpose or whatever. At least that's what I got. I got the gist that he's kind of like, hey, maybe I've been too much of a dick about other people and not opening my mind a little bit more. So all of us, I think, perhaps are starting to get great minds come together mentality instead of egos and all. And I don't say that Pav had an ego, but the point being is that all of us would do better to realize that at the end of the day, we just want to know what happened, and you can put egos aside and let's just freaking figure out what happened. So good on that.
Bob, I'm Estes Crime Maze, dude. I'm not just some Estes crazy guy, as you call me.
Well, you need to be training. You guys are going to be boxing pretty soon, as soon as we get your channel up to 2,500.
I'm nervous right now, to tell you the truth, because I haven't been training. I'm injured right now. Pav is one step ahead of me. But when I get healed, I'll be putting out videos hitting the bag, and hopefully I might be able to put a little scare into Pav or get him motivated to keep his ass training, and we'll make this happen one day.
Somewhere in the comments today, somebody made some comment that Pav said he was going to kick my ass. So I'm like, did he call me out recently? Like, I don't think so. I've always been on pretty good terms with Pav. So
no, he didn't. Yeah. I watched his video. He didn't mention you.
Okay, that's a good thing, I guess. To not be negative mentioned is a good thing. All right, let's get into the slides a little bit today, and I want to set the tone because I have 3 major topics I want to talk about. Actually, I've got 2 major topics I want to talk about, and a third that I don't want to miss. And I realize that some people who come to my show or my channel are only here for one case. I follow 5 cases. Let me make sure we put those on screen and talk about the 5 cases. Well, first of all, let's do some quick notes. Nightly lives, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yes, I try to make almost all of my lives, but some from time to time, if I'm on boots on the ground. By the way, Joe, okay, first of all, Joe, let me remove the parental advisory from your face, because apparently I'm stomping all over your ass.
That's where I belong.
That's where you belong. Yeah, put you in the corner. Nobody puts baby in the corner. All right. So here's the thing. We did some good things there. I will tell you this. Birdie seemed to really like, and his audience seemed to really like the 8 minutes of footage we showed driving around the neighborhood. I think he said was outstanding. I got approached by another content creator saying, we want to collaborate with you. We want to feature that same clip that you showed and talk about your trip with Joe to Moscow, Idaho. So boots on the ground does make a difference to people. So Joe, we did a good thing. I think we got noticed. We got some people that want to actually say, oh my God, you guys were there and got some footage. Bring it on to our show. Let's talk about what you saw. So very, very cool stuff for us. Thanks for being a part of that. And for my team for holding down the fort and making people think that I don't show up to my own lives because I was in Moscow, Idaho.
Well, I also want to say thanks to everybody for those members only lives, because that was some fun stuff. Like, and again, we were in the moment like that. A lot of that stuff, we're responding to what's going on. And I said it a lot on our streams. It's eye-opening to be there, because we've all watched a million videos. We've all seen a million content creators and mainstream media outlets all over that town. And to be there, it's a whole different experience. And, you know, to not overstate it, because I know you hammered it home on Birdie's stream yesterday, but the areas that we all saw, particularly the King Road area and the Bandfield area, is extremely compact, way more than it looks on camera. And when you're there in person, you can't believe how much smaller everything is and closer together everything is, including the size of the 1122 lot. I was shocked at how small that lot was, and the house wasn't even on it.
Right.
You know,
right.
So the first,
and it's funny too, because it's funny because I use the word and you use the word tight, and I even kind of, you know, I titled that clip, it's tighter than you think. That and it's funny that I use the word tight, because I saw a clip today. It was an interview with Eric Gower, and he literally talked about dropping the girls off at 112, and he said the parking lot is tight. That whole area is tight. He used the same word. It's tight. Everything's tight there. You can't back up without running into somebody's car, bumping into something. All the cars are packed together. The houses are right on top of each other. It makes you really question why a person would pick that house as a random act of violence and not something a little bit further out where you could get away with things, where you wouldn't have a million people that could possibly see you coming and going for the crime scene. Really piss poor choice for a random act of violence, I would think. At least that's the way it felt to me. And
Marcy Gilmore just said, the dynamic duo in the supernova rocked the birdseed mount, which was a theme of our videos. I'm sure DA will explain that more later. But one thing before I forget, are you going to show the Linda Lane clip tonight?
Not tonight.
Okay.
You mean just how small the street was?
Yeah, that's the one thing you didn't show, because you didn't show that portion of our video on Birdie's. That street where the dumpster is, it's way shorter than it looks from all the footage we saw from above the dumpster down the street. It's a short little street.
Isn't it weird? Like you see on the videos a car, like here's a car coming down Linda Lane, and it feels like it takes a while for them to get there. That street is short. I mean, I don't know how we have been misled. I don't think it was intentional. I think it's just wide angle cameras, but my gosh, being there changed everything. And by the way, I will say that the video footage that we have shared, people have said they can see how small it is. So why is it our camera caught exactly how tight that whole situation was? And everybody else is like, oh yeah, I'm glad you got footage. I didn't realize it was that tight. I'm like, we've seen a million footage of this place. How did it not show up on the other cameras? It makes me wonder.
I have a theory about that. I think it was because your camera is not set to fisheye. I think it's because your camera is set to actual proportions.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if other creators were using like a fisheye view or a whatever zoomed out.
And ring cameras and cameras on houses probably. I think it is. And like I said, I'm not claiming it's deceptive, But real quick, too, I want to say before we get into the official cases, we did premiere, if you will, for the first time, member-only lives from the hotel room. Joe and I may have had a little too many glasses of wine the first night. It was pretty freaking funny. People were coming in and talking about tying up their girlfriend in the house. The conversation went completely off the rails, and it was fun as hell. If you get a chance, make sure you catch member-only lives, because when we do that kind of stuff, it gets pretty crazy, I think. And last thing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to know is pink panties.
It totally, yeah. It was like the 6th glass of wine when that happened. But yeah. Anyways, the one more thing I'll say: people have been asking me, "Boy, I can't believe you guys went out there and you only got that much footage." No. We've got so much more footage you haven't seen yet. Footage is coming out. The problem is Joe ruined everything for all of you. So I want you to kick him in the ass. The reason Joe ruined it for us all is I said, we're streaming this camera all day long. And then later on, he's like, oh my God, you haven't been recording this, right? Because I just talked about such and such. You can't put that on air. And I'm like, Joe, now I got to go watch 8 hours of our footage to clip out the areas you don't want on camera because you said something while I'm recording. So otherwise, I would have just dumped all the raw footage right up there for members only to watch. But Joe's like, oh, you can't have that on camera. And I'm like, well, shit, now I got to watch all my shit. So it's lagging behind, Joe. It's lagging.
We don't want to reveal too much.
Well, yeah, it's the reveal.
I have to keep some mystery about my life.
Well, dude, you don't have any mystery on your life. You don't know. I put a recording in your car because some girl on a dating site claims when I talked about the Idaho 4 and the 4 students being live, she says, "Jason, are you a cop? Are you a narc?" I didn't know how to respond. No, what are you talking about?
So to be fair, more content is coming out. I just need to get past actual work to review the footage and get the raw footage up. There will be both raw footage and clipped. So raw footage, we're going to put out there for members only. For if you're the kind of person that can stomach watching a 5-hour drive, for example, and Joe and I talking about everything minus the parts that you can't hear because Joe, passed gas or something like that and didn't want it on camera, whatever the case may be that Joe may have done.
That didn't happen.
Didn't happen?
That didn't happen for sure. But he's leaving out some of the things that he probably doesn't want on camera either.
This is why I said to the audience, this is the most entertaining and really informative, I would argue, true crime YouTube channel. Does the audience, I hope they would agree to that. I mean,
I feel that we offer some stuff. I feel we offer some stuff. We were at Twin Peaks. We did not have footage from inside Twin Peaks. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. We don't have footage from inside.
We have a picture outside of Twin Peaks to prove that we were there.
And I think we posted it to the Discord, the two of us outside the Twin Peaks place. All right.
And we went there twice, but the second time we just couldn't get in.
So let's pull up on screen a couple things real quick, and then I'm already behind schedule on my own thing. So what I'm going to do is what I'm going to ask you guys to do is be cognizant of how much time we allot ourselves to talk about each case. So my cases primarily are trying to get the right screen. Brian Koberger, Idaho 4. We'll talk about that. I want to say let's talk about it for about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, about 35 minutes. And I'm going to be watching a clock. And in fact, I'm going to set a timer on my phone because I need to keep us on pace. And keep in mind, I know that some people are only watching my show for one case. And so if you really need to check out after we're done talking about Idaho 4, you can do so, and I'll be super pissed at you, but you can do so because it's your prerogative. It's my prerogative. Anyways, point being is that the other cases are super cool, and I hope you stay around and get hooked on these cases because I think we have a lot to offer in a lot of cases. We're going to talk about Brian Koberger. We're going to talk about Charlie Kirk. It says Tyler Robinson on the screen. Charlie Kirk obviously is the bigger name, but Tyler Robinson is the person who's assumed to be the shooter. And so we actually are focusing on the people who mainstream media is not giving the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law. Of course, the Brian Koberger situation is kind of a whole weird thing because that kind of thing is already a play deal. Anyways, Luigi Manjoni, we're going to talk about Luigi Manjoni very, very little, and we're going to put on hold Rex Heuermann, the Long Island serial killer. No, that's not true. Okay, Brian Koberger and Tyler are going to be the two things we talk about major tonight. Luigi Manjoni a little, and Rex Heuermann even smaller. And then we're not going to cover Mickey Steins tonight. So if you're, and it's not because who gets time is not because they're less important to me. Please, for God's sake, get that clear, because sometimes people will bust my nuts. You don't even care about Luigi Manjoni's case anymore. Yes, I do. But sometimes the news is slower, and we've got a lot going on in Idaho 4. So let's talk about the Idaho 4 case. Again, we got back from Moscow, Idaho, boots on the ground. I had a video today in which I think I titled it something to the effect of, what if only 2 people died in the Idaho 4, right? Something to that effect. And the gist of the thing was, what if it's possible Ethan surprised the killers. He wasn't supposed to be there. He actually killed somebody. Maybe they offered witness protection. Again, there's an argument to be made. I didn't make it in the video today, but there's an argument to be made that Xana could have been somebody that was a hit was placed on. So maybe they got her out of the house in witness protection because she was actually a target of the hit, and they didn't get to her because maybe Ethan stopped it. Whatever. It's pure speculation. But let's talk a little bit about all of that. Robin, let's go kind of in order. Robin, do you watch the video? Do you have any thoughts on the video from today, or you know?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I watched it. I was there for the premiere. That was
right.
Amazing. I mean, just the various points that you had brought up, and again, I will echo the fact of, I always love the way that you are not afraid to alter your mindset on something, and open-minded enough to consider things, even if it doesn't turn out to be what you necessarily believe. You are willing to at least entertain those ideas. So I thought it was great.
I think you pinned this for a second, Robin, but I was in the middle of talking. Thank you, by the way, for the gift, the $9.99 gift and the birdseed camera. I had a birdseed camera during that trip, by the way, and it was an ongoing gag because I didn't have a mount for the camera. We tried to use a bird bag to stabilize the camera, and that went to shit. And so it was running gag. But thanks for the gift tonight. I almost feel like we need to wait for Estes last, because I mean, he's the one that's been trying to tell me this is an operation, an extraction operation. So, Joe, did you get a chance to watch today's video that I made, or?
Yes, I did.
What are your thoughts on that one?
So I think it's a good angle to, or as we always say, a thread to pull, because it explains a lot of things. There's some things about it that, like, I would pull the thread a little further. Like if somebody was arrested for the crime, would they believe if it was some organization that carried out a hit and was partially successful? I don't know that they would not be aware that it didn't work out because somebody else got arrested. They would, and it was told that all 4 of them were killed, and they would know that if their operative got killed, that they didn't kill, right? Obviously they something went wrong if the person didn't come out of it, their operative, right? But I do believe there's one thing I would add to your theory, and that is the little flash of light. I think that it's possible, again, we're going to go with your theory as if it is correct, right? That someone in that house was packing. Idaho is a very gun-friendly state, as we know.
We found that out. Yeah.
And we've seen videos of Kaylee shooting when she was young. So it's not a big stretch to think that someone in that house had a firearm. In fact, it would be pretty surprising if they didn't. So it's possible that someone that came into the house to carry something out got capped instead of a fight ensuing.
Right.
It could have been one shot, and that would explain the little flash of light and the popping sound, allegedly, that Bethany heard. So it's very possible that somebody heard something going on and they had a firearm, and in your theory, if we're playing that out, that it was a gunshot that killed the attacker. So that's a possibility. It's just something I thought of when I was listening to your theory.
Yeah, and I think there's lots. I mean, there's holes in my own theory. There's holes in all of the theories, things that don't make a lot of sense, mental gymnastics that maybe you have to make your argument work. At the end of the day, I would argue the same thing I say a lot of times. I don't know that the theories that we're coming up with are any less believable than an incel who can't get laid decided he had to kill 4 people and leave 2 survivors behind. And even though he's a criminology student and a master of criminology, doesn't think to not leave his car or his cell phone behind when he goes and commits an act of violence. Like, that to me is a much harder pill to swallow than the logic jumps we have to overcome with any of our theories. But that's just me. America, I think, largely disagrees with me. They think the incel story that may or may not have inspired him to be a killer, it makes more sense to them. Let it be.
What can I just say one last thing on that?
Yeah.
Just to tie it in with the full extraction theory. Considering the video of the Gonzalez's talking where Christy Gonzalez says, and Maddie just bought a house, like she was going to say she just bought a house.
Yeah.
So it could be possible that Maddie was one of the people in this theory, the 2-person theory. Maddie was one of them that survived.
Yeah, fair. And I have a thought about that. Let's save that for Estes when we get on, because he's the one that really was kept saying all the time, did you see Christy say Maddie just bought a house? And so we'll address that in a second. Did did you want to chime in on some thoughts on the video from this morning?
Sure. The video is great. If we're going to go by your theory that you put out in the video, to touch on what JJ said with the light, you said that, it's, maybe it was the perpetrator was shot with a gun or whatnot. It could also be, it doesn't necessarily have to be, I personally don't believe that it was a gun. I think, you could say it was when I say, gun, I think of a firearm. I think it was some kind of stun gun. So you could say gun, but it's not really a gun. I think it's some kind of stun gun. If you're in the house itself, a stun gun, like if you're in the immediate area of like a stun gun, it makes a loud noise. It can make a spark. It can do all that stuff. It's not going to carry the same amount of sound that a regular firearm would carry. So what's super interesting about that is the trip that you and JJ took, like correlating it with that, and how closely, all the buildings and everything was together. I don't see how a gunshot could go off and none of the neighbors, not one person would report hearing that. I mean, you had, they did, door-to-door interviews. They did, I would find it hard to believe that the entire community, not one person comes forward and says, oh, I heard there was some kind of gunshot.
Yeah.
I believe that it was some kind of stun gun because, again, good old pretty much Dylan. I know we can't take her word as the gospel, but between her and Bethany, they claim, Bethany says she saw like a light, right? And then they claim that they hear a thump like soon after that. So if you think about it, sure, if someone is shot with a gun, it could possibly fall, but I think a more likely scenario is that it's some kind of stun weapon or whatnot that made the, that's what I think. I I know that it's a carry state there, and you know, it's much easier to have a firearm there. I believe some kind of stun weapon was used. I don't think it was an actual gunshot, but that's my opinion.
Amanda brings up a good question. What if it was a silencer, though?
A silencer only. So there's a big misconception about silencers. I mean, we went. You were with me at the range,
right?
You know,
right. So this guy knows how to shoot guns.
Just you know, a silencer will greatly reduce recoil, and yeah, it will reduce the sound, but unfortunately, people are have in their mind that too much Hollywood. They think that a silencer, like, I know the term, it says silencer, it doesn't make it silent. There's still a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, in the movies, it always sounds like a whisper, you know.
Right.
You know, it doesn't. You know, you're like,
yeah, it's not like that. Real life, it's not. Right.
Yeah. So, thank you for the thoughts on that as well. Estes, now it is your moment to take me to task. You say, you know, hey, good job, DA, but you didn't go far enough. 4 people survived that event. Tell me how you felt about my coming halfway with you, literally.
Sure. Well, thanks first of all to, as you said, to One's comments and thoughts, and also Joe. I like some aspects. I liked your video. It was awesome overall. Very, very interesting. Again, tantalizing revelations that Lee provided. DA, my friend. So check out the video. I liked how I think at one point you described the feds, the multi-jurisdiction task force, of course, and that being Moscow, Idaho Police Department. They had an intimate relationship, right? You said at 1122 King Road, you think in the house. And you got into the CIs, which I really like, the confidential informants, right? It seems like you're leaning towards maybe there was more than one. And maybe that, I think you said Kaylee and Maddie could have been confidential informants. Dylan and Bethany could have been confidential informants, or at the very least, Dylan and Bethany, you also said, I'm not going to rehash your whole video, but they were sort of being controlled, you think, to lie. I think that's pretty clear by the feds, in my opinion, that Dylan and Bethany, that was sort of their role, to lie. You know, the bushy eyebrows. I see bushy eyebrows of the assailant. And then where you really got me, Lee, and I don't know if I'll be able to sleep tonight, DA, because you said Ethan is a big strapping guy. So this is possible, I got to admit, that Ethan killed one of the assailants. And I'm thinking, I never even come close to thinking that. But you know what? Anything is possible. Ethan was a strong, strapping guy, but I sort of have the opposite thoughts. That's why I think an assailant would have a hard time taking this guy out. And part of the psyop is, they cut his legs and marked him up and mutilated, all this horse shit, in my opinion. But then you said, of course, the big thing, that you think Xana, it's very possible, that Xana Carnudo and Ethan Chapman, they're the ones that are extracted. And I might need a wake-up call. And you didn't say that. And Kaylee and Maddie, of course, you say you think they very well could be the ones that are killed. And I had the vice all the way, I had it totally different. I think that Kaylee, I really think, DA, and guess that that if any 2 were alive, and if your theory is half correct, that 2 were killed and 2 were alive, I think Kaylee and Maddie would be the likely ones that are alive. And I think you go back to the interviews of the parents. And I hope that maybe you will choose to bring that clip of Christy G. We can break it down, what she said, and that'll be interesting for the audience. And I just think that Steve G, again, in my opinion, we know he doesn't break down, doesn't cry, gets just angry. The wife, I think, is told to sort of act frantic. I've had so many women, guys, tell me that Christy G would break down and cry. And Robin's here. I'm sure we could get her female sensibility on this. She'll tell us. And Steve G would be crying. If your children died, wouldn't they be crying? And you know, it just doesn't happen. So I know.
Let me play devil's advocates for a second on that, though. Here's the devil's advocates thing.
Okay.
Out of all the families, Steve's the one who's losing his mind about everything. Maybe the other people aren't losing their mind because they know what happened. They know their kids are fine. They've been told they're in extraction. They've been told to sit tight. Steve's like, I want freaking answers because no one's given me answers of what happened to my daughter. So I would almost say the idea that Steve's the only one raising holy hell, with maybe the exception of Maddie, because again, if my theory, Maddie also died, why isn't that family? But is it possible the reason why most of the families have been quiet is because they're at peace with what happened? They know what happened. They've been told what happened. Is that possible? Now, again, to bust my own nuts, I've said, I don't think you can keep that many families secret. So I have a hard time believing that all the families of the extracted victims all know about it, and they didn't tell all their friends, hey, don't worry, my daughter's fine, my son's fine, wink, wink, nod, nod, everything's taken care of. And that didn't leak. Like the number of people who would be in on the extraction, if the families really knew that their kids were alive, somebody would have leaked it by now, in my opinion. I just don't think loose lips sink ships all the time. I think we can't keep government secrets because people can't keep their mouth shut. Sure. You're not keeping all those families and their friends shut, in my opinion. But
DA, all you guys, can I just, before we move on from Kohberger, can I tie your theory into another variation of that?
Yeah.
And we can just throw it out there, and the den and everybody on the stream can kind of mull it over, see what they think. But what if this NIJ grant for research into off-campus crime, what if we don't, again, total speculation, what if one of the parents had some working relationship with the feds in some way, shape, or form, right? And what if the grant, part of the grant, as we've discussed, DA and I, was related to Othram Labs, right? And so the whole operation was conducted as part of this research, right? So it was connected to the grant. It was connected to Othram Labs, because we always say, Lee, that they never do things for just one reason. Yeah. There's always multiple things in the agenda. And so what if the part of the agenda was for this research study to see how they would handle a major operation, a multi-agency task force or multi-jurisdiction, and also use it to launch this genetic testing lab that's connected to the feds, that's got a lot of big money behind it, right? And that the parents were somehow connected to it, or some of the parents. Again, some of the parents. So again, it ties into your theory. It ties into Estes Crime Maze's theory. And I've certainly considered the possibility of an extraction, but I'm just looking at it from that angle.
Yeah, and to pull the thread a little bit on that, and I want to be careful because I'm not saying this is what happened. Just to pull the thread a little bit of what you said is, we did do a little research, you and I, Joe, on did Othram Labs receive money from the NIJ funding that came into Pullman? Now, for those who don't know what we're talking about, Brian Kohberger, even in his room, had documents showing that he knew that Pullman had received a massive grant from the NIJ, what's that, the National Institute of Justice, so it's a department of the Department of Justice. They had received a big, like, $1 million grant at WSU, which might have actually brought Kohberger out to WSU in the first place, in part because of the big grant WSU received for doing some kind of research. And one of the questions I asked was, did Othram Labs receive any funding from that grant? Did they profit from what happened at WSU in any way, shape, or form? And indeed, from our armchair research, and we're not super researchers, but from our armchair researcher, Othram Labs indirectly did receive money from the NIJ grant that came into WSU. It was through a third party. They were associated with another company, and it's the other company's name that's on the check, but they're associated with that company, which means that they indirectly received funds. One could make an argument that that's done on purpose to hide their ties to the event so that it wouldn't get thrown out. But again, and I'm not saying this happened, you have to follow the money. Now Othram Labs is launched on the face of the nation as being the type of lab that can solve crimes in real time. They can go out, they can not just solve cold cases. They even said, Othram Labs at CrimeCon, you remember, Joe, we were both at CrimeCon together. They said, we want to prove that Othram Labs isn't able to just break cold cases. We're going to be able to solve cases in real time. And this was their big test, their big national debut to prove that they can solve a case in real time. Is there a money motive for that? Did somebody set up Othram Labs? Were the investors in Othram Labs making a killing, investing in a company they knew was going to blow up off the face of the map when they solved a big crime in real time? And now you have to further the question and follow the money. You've got a family who's now the face of Othram Labs, going around the country with the middlemen, talking about our kids died in Idaho 4, but this great company came and put it at ease. They caught the bad guy. They got us justice for our family. They're making a worldwide tour. You got to bet that they're making money off of that being the face of Othram Labs. There's a lot of money involved. So it's out there in the wind, you know?
Yeah. To your point, Lee, as you know, again, a lot of people have been angry at Steve G. You seemingly may believe Steve G and Christy G. I don't believe. I think it's a psyop. I think it's a lot of acting. I think, as one big YouTuber and your friend Lee said, you know, Steve G looks like a Fed and acts like a Fed. I kind of agree with that. But there's a lot of people angry at this Steve G because he's got a lot of money from the public on the back of his daughter's death. And some people might, I guess, take the position, well, he deserves it, Jason. You know, he's a grieving father, you know, he's lost his daughter in this brutal way. I could see that point of view too. But I'm not sure why you would need all this money if your daughter, you know, is really dead. What about if you need all that money, if I'm correct and other people are, the extraction removal operation? Kaylee and Maddie are on the beach somewhere, most likely protected under the WITSIC program. That money will go to their daughters, rest assured. And he's made a shitload of money already in his career. What does he need? 100,000 from the pub? Anyway, I'm just ranting there. But again, I like your video, Lee. There was a lot more you said about Kaylee and Maddie not being druggies. I think that's important to point out to the audience and give them credit as human beings. They didn't get caught up in the drug game, apparently. They did like their drinks, as you said. They, you know, that's fine. But they seemingly were not hardcore drug users, and maybe not at all, and that's great. And yet Maddie, I think you said, and you said though that, Xana and Ethan looks like they were sort of doing drugs, right? And not to make some bad evil people, but to Kaylee and Maddie's credit, they were clean, and maybe you said they were flushing drugs down the toilet, and obviously that would be a way of a confidential form of being compromised if they were confidential.
Yeah, and let me be clear for those who. I mean, I think a lot of people who follow this case probably are watching the documents, or at least watching YouTubers that are covering the documents. So maybe you all know this, but for those who are casually watching this show and you're thinking, where do we come up with our knowledge that Kaylee wasn't into drugs, but Xana was? Well, it all came out in the police reports. Repeatedly, people were interviewed and the cops would ask, do you know about any history with drugs? And repeatedly, the answers from everyone was, Kaylee wasn't really into drugs, but Xana was. Maddie wasn't really into drugs, but Xana was, and Ethan was. That consistently came out in all the interviews. Xana and Ethan were party people. They were into the drugs. They Adderall, cocaine, possibly. There was multiple hints. Whatever the case may be, it was repeatedly stated Xana and Ethan liked the drugs, and that Kaylee and Maddie weren't into the drugs. So it's not just a guess on our part. That came out in police documents as the consistent thing. And not shaming anyone, the other consistent thing came out is Kaylee may have been very promiscuous. She was known to go to bars, go home with strange guys. They were investigating her left and right on who her boyfriends were, who she was possibly seeing, if anybody had any, you know, they looked a lot into Kaylee. Kaylee seemed to have a lot of boyfriends, or at least a lot of guys that she was interested in. So those details came out in the documents by everyone telling a consistent story. Yeah, Kaylee's the kind of person who will go to the bar and go home with a strange guy. Kaylee's the kind of person that would do this. Kaylee didn't do drugs, however. Xana and Ethan did. So that's where we're getting those things. They're not just random ass comments. They're based on the documents and the consistent things that seem to come out from the interviews. Any other further thoughts on those?
Yeah, just to add on to some of that stuff that you're saying, from our favorite, pretty much Dylan, the most recent interview that was released, also with the documents, and from her interview, it's further evidence that shows that Kaylee was not getting along with her family so well. So it very much well, a really good chance that it has to do with what you just said, that maybe she was too promiscuous, or who knows what she was involved with. And maybe, Steve G or whatever, maybe he doesn't know the family. Maybe they don't know all the details, but they know she was into some kind of somewhat, promiscuous stuff. And that's why he made that comment early on that what did he say? He said some dirt. I think, did he say some dirty stuff, or he said something, right? Some dirty stuff is going to come out.
Some ugly things are going to come out. Yeah.
Right. So I think that's what it was. I think, was she just promiscuous, or was she making money off of this? I don't know. But what I can say is I still don't think I still go by. I don't believe, from what I know of other cases and other things that I see have happened, I don't think that she had anything to do with OnlyFans. I know a lot of people keep bringing that up, keep talking about it. You really think this case going on for over 2.5, 3 years now, you think with how crazy and really how creepy certain people are, and some people just don't give a shit about anything, they'll just post whatever, you think that a video or picture of her from OnlyFans wouldn't have surfaced by now? I don't think she had anything to do with OnlyFans. So that's just my belief.
I think I agree with everything you say. I mean, almost everything you say exactly. I don't think there's an OnlyFans account, but I do think the reference to some ugly things might come out is that he knew that people were going to start diving into Kaylee's habits and he knew that was going to be ugly, that you were going to find out that Kaylee had maybe a lot of things going on that are going to make her think that she's a certain way that they didn't really want portrayed in their family, unfortunately. But you have to go down those roads. So we only have about 10, 13 more minutes that I want to spend left on the Kohberger thing. I want to bring up something I saw a little bit from Pavarotti. I didn't actually spend a lot of time with it, but it seems like Pav had a comment about 27 seconds is too short. He's focusing on a time in which Dylan claims to have just seen a guy in a mask in the house, and then calls Bethany and says, I just saw this guy in the house. And that call, I think, is logged, if I understand his logic, at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:20 in the morning and 20 seconds. And then the car is seen speeding off from the house at 4:20 in the morning and 47 seconds, which gives, if his argument is correct, and I think there's a hole in it, but I'll say what it is. That gives 27 seconds for a person to get out of the house, out across the street, into their car, shut the door, turn it on, and drive away in 27 seconds. And he's like, that's not possible. So before I give my thoughts, what are your thoughts on is he on to something there? Is he showing that there's a 27-second gap between when Dylan saw the man in the mask and when the car speeds off, and that's just not enough time to get out to the car and speed away?
Yeah, I think he also not in the most recent video, but a few, maybe a month or so ago, he also, to give credit to Pav, he had a video again, the 1112 camera that shows the headlights and stuff on, off the window, and you basically can kind of tell from the light, when a car is at the house or not, and you're listening to sounds, and we don't, going by the official thing that they sent us, of course, this stuff could be edited and all that nonsense. We're aware of that, but if you watch the video right around the time of 4:20, you what you're showing right there, with going also with Bethany and Dylan making those phone calls, you hear, so she sees a person in black, and then within less than 30 seconds you see headlights flash on the window and the car speeds off. And you hear a door, you hear what sounds to be a door close too. So what, to me, if you want to, you know, like what you're saying, is it possible for someone to run out the door and hop in and turn on the car and turn on the headlights and speed off? I would say no. But what I would say is, if there's a second person in the car ready to go with their foot on the gas, car unlocked, car is ready, you know, ready to go, all he has to do is open the door and jump in. So I strongly believe that there was another person driving the car. Whoever the person was that Dylan saw or exited, that, to me, that would be that would be believable. Like, you know, 30 seconds, someone runs in the car, you know, runs into the car, but the car is already ready to go. But one person, I can't see it.
I still maintain, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I still maintain whoever committed the murders didn't get back in the same car that sped away. There's no way you don't track DNA out of the house. There's no way you don't track. And if they did get in a car, it's not Kohberger's car, and that explains why it's not there. Because I just think it's impossible to do that.
I agree.
I think it's more likely that a car that delivered somebody to the scene panicked and left without the killers than it is that the killer got back in the car, because I can't imagine that scenario being realistic and be Kohberger's car.
Right.
But that's me.
DA, what I wanted to mention also, did you want to talk about that exercise we talked about of a visual sort of graph, and maybe we can get the den involved, and we could start aggregating different information. What we talked about was, we both spoke about it at different times, trying to get everybody to come together and make a sort of a graphical representation of all the theories, and then go through each point of each theory with the ones that either have had things proven factually or disproven. And so you check off the ones that are proven to be factual that would align with that particular theory. So different facts and narratives. And then have the ones that can't be factually proven, but rumors and things like that, with each various theory, and break them down so you have a visual representation of the different theories and which ones are most logical, which pieces of information support each theory, which pieces of information detract from each theory, to get them like almost close to a statistical breakdown as you can get, to sort of have something to always have to work off. So if you have a theory we're going to talk about, you can say, well, this was proven to be true, this was not true, this point it's still speculation, and think about and then put our heads together, think about what was the likelihood of each of these theories and in the big picture, and what makes sense with anecdotal evidence combined with the factual evidence, that sort of thing.
And I will say, Joe, I have been working all day last night and all day today, starting the basis for that. I have been working on my website, putting together a basis for that, which is a major 4-column thing with column A, B, C, and D being 4 major theories and all the data points laid out. And I've been building that for days. I'm planning on putting that up on the website as a starting jump off point for this. And I think if we can kind of rally the community to help out with that, that would be a great exercise. We may not all agree on how it should be laid out, but I'm starting the process to get it going. And I hope to premiere that pretty soon. So I am working on that. Before we move on to the next topic, which is going to be Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk, so we're going to talk about Candace Owens, some stuff. What I want to talk about, I want to talk a lot on this case about a few things for about a half hour or so about that case. But I want to implore, beg, whatever I need to do, give you a rubber cookie to not sign out of the chat because we're going to stop talking about Kohberger for a minute. I cover 4-5 different cases. I hope that I can convince you that it's worth listening to all these cases. There's a common thread that runs through all my stuff. It's playing devil's advocates with mainstream media's coverage, which oftentimes they're selling a narrative that they want you to believe. And oftentimes the devil is in the details. When you start asking the questions they don't want you to ask, all of a sudden you learn a lot about yourself, about crime, about our justice system, law enforcement. Asking the questions they don't want to ask, you will become hugely educated in a lot of things. So I think it's worth your time to stay, try and get a little interested in some other cases if you're not. Having said that, let's move on and talk a little bit about Tyler Robinson. Now, again, I hesitate on always how to put this on my website. Do I call it the Charlie Kirk case or the Tyler Robinson? Because again, Charlie Kirk is really the name behind all of this. And whether or not Tyler Robinson is the shooter remains to be seen. There's lots of reasons to believe Tyler Robinson's not the shooter. However, my show kind of focuses on the accused and asking, are they really the right guy? So that's why we're focusing on Tyler Robinson. But it's the Charlie Kirk case for sure. What I want to share with you for food for thought, and I think, let's see, make sure where I started. This is the first article that I want to pull up. I'm going to see if I can bring this to full screen. Let's see. Let's go to this. So this was Candace Owens' big reveal. I saw a bit about, and I can't say that I understand the whole logic of it, but she's tracking Egyptian planes. Interestingly enough, the real caveat is that she said she found new details. I'm going to try to find, I wanted to highlight, but this particular website does not want me to highlight anything. Candace Owens found new details that made her even more worried. Candace Owens said 2 Egyptian planes, and she names the planes by model, their actual tail numbers. She knows the exact plane numbers. You have to wonder where Candace Owens gets all her great detail. She doesn't just have a theory. She can tell you what planes were at what airports and what their tail numbers were. So she got some connections. By the way, makes me want to talk about limited hangouts. But anyways, point being is that she knows a lot of information. Maybe just the information they want us to know would be my counter, but that's my skepticism. But she says these Egyptian planes are showing up. She said the planes showed up at places where Erica Kirk was 73 times from 2022 until September of 2025. So is that in itself a coincidence that 2 Egyptian planes show up 73 times where Erica Kirk seems to be in the world? And is that a weird coincidence? Then they're talking about times when Erica Kirk and her husband were in the same place at the same time, when they're on separate planes, ending up in the same areas. Really interesting shit. I don't know that I'm going to pull the thread on what the Egyptians have to do with this, unless one of you guys want to start to dive into it, because I don't know. I am all over the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. And so that's why I'm going to start talking about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff here very shortly. But some new stuff that came out about Candace Owens not only talked about the planes, right, but she talked about cars that were involved with the Egyptians. And she gave, I was stunned. Again, where does Candace Owens get her shit?
She never said Egyptians, though, just to be clear.
The Egyptian
just said
planes.
People that were on the Egyptian plane. She never claimed that they were Egyptians.
Fair. It's a good point. And so she listed like 5 vehicles and plate numbers and literally said, hey guys, watch all over your highways. If you see this car, this particular model of car with this plate, call it out and let me know. And I'm like, holy shit, are you like, is that kind of shit gonna work? And then Joe's like, well, look at these 2 clips. Like one of these clips I'm going to show you, nutbaggish. And I think it's this one right here. Egyptian rental car spotted at UVU. So check this out. I'm going to try to, now I think I need to take this off screen and reshare it so that we can get audio on this screen. So let me make sure I get it done right. This is going to be, all right. So I'm going to pull this off screen. You don't see it on screen anyways, but let me remove this from stage or stop screen share. I'm going to add this screen. And we're going to look at that. Jason Estes is all relaxed. He's like, okay, I guess I got to get my popcorn out. We're going to be here a while.
Yeah.
So let's put that on screen.
Still the most entertaining by far true crime channel on YouTube because of each and every one of you and our amazing audience.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all. I noticed we didn't have a drop off. The rubber cookie, I owe everybody in the room a rubber cookie. Robin, get on that. We need to get rubber cookies for everybody in the room.
What the heck is a rubber cookie?
It's just something to keep you entertained. You know, it's a rubber cookie. You can chew on it. It's like the gift for a dog. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Let's see if we got audio. Let's see if we got audio for this.
No audio.
I'm not hearing audio.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Let me redo that. Let's go stop the screen share. Let's go remove. It starts out with her saying, Candace Owens is going to single-handedly solve this case. It's a good thing that Pavarotti's not on this because he would have had this case solved 3 weeks ago. But, and that's a running joke. It's not busting Pav's nuts. I like Pavarotti, but the running joke is, DA, you can stop doing your true crime channel. Pavarotti's already solved the case.
I
And
like
so it's
that
really-
joke.
Candace is getting a lot of heat for this too.
For sure.
Because
Controlled
I hope it's
opposition
not-
do get heat sometimes, you know.
I do
Just
hope
saying.
it's loud enough for you. I don't know if I have a control over my my audios that I play. So I've got it fully cranked in here. So shh, everybody pay attention. Let's try this again.
No.
No?
No, no audio.
No, you sons of bitches. All right, hold on. No audio, really?
No.
All right. I'm going to do one more. And if it fails, then I'm just going to freaking have to like tell you what she says.
I'm going to try to get one a CIA Candace Owens mug.
Stop screen share.
While you're getting
I
that
love
set
that.
up, DA, the two things to keep in mind. One, so one of those vehicles was apparently spotted from a camera. And, you know, the first thing that pops into my mind, Egyptian plane, Egyptian rental car, just, you know, the way that obviously could be a red herring.
Yeah.
To steer attention away from something else, but which is where my mind always goes. But it's interesting to consider what the potential could be, because someone could co-opt a plane from another country if they didn't want to be as overt in their operation.
All right, cross your fingers one more time. Tell me we've got sound, please.
Candace Owens is
Yeah.
single-handedly solving the Charlie Kirk
You got it.
assassination. Now, one of the license plates from one of the rental cars that was waiting for the Egyptian military plane at Salt Lake City Airport has been caught on Utah DOT camera on University Parkway, just 1.2 miles from the UVU campus, 25 minutes before the shots rang out. According to Project Constitution, the Arizona license plate CWN872 was not found on a white Camry, but instead was caught on camera on a black Tahoe. Which is interesting considering the Ring camera footage of Tyler Robinson walking through a neighborhood towards UVU shows him being followed by none other than a black Tahoe. And according to ChatGPT, it's important to note that intelligence agencies do use rental cars because they are untraceable to individual agents. And they are known to swap out license plates in covert operations. One of the most notable recent publicly verified cases of intelligence swapping out plates is from 2010, the Dubai assassination. It's important to note that because the Utah DOT camera caught this license plate on a different vehicle, it could be a false hit. But if not, this could be a serious sign of guilt. Candace provided us with 4 different vehicles with 4 different license plates. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see if any others come up near the UVU campus on September 10th. So, do you think this is a false hit, or do you think something very fishy is going on? As always, I want to hear what you think.
So that's the gist of it right now. And I'll tell you, for those who don't know, Candace Owens is not just Joe Blow YouTuber. She's extremely connected. So, and she knows everybody. And so, again, it's not someone like the likes of me who just said, "Oh, trust me, that license plate is." No, if she's saying shit, she's on to something. So that's the first conversation topic. What do you guys think about the whole thing. Like, again, this would lead, before I drop off and let you guys just have free flow on it, this would lead us to the idea that Tyler Robinson's not what really happened here, that there's foreign agents, foreign elements, or at least an operation, false flag operation maybe, where they're trying to pin it on another nation. Something else is going on here. And the whole idea that it was just Tyler Robinson, it may be a much, much bigger thing, which, surprise, surprise, that's what I said when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. This isn't what they're what they said it was.
Yeah, her whole big thing is she's basically saying that it's a federal and international conspiracy cover-up involving multiple countries, the Feds, Turning Point USA, and Zionist donors. And with the plates, she's getting a lot of heat because apparently they don't care that she's talking about the Egyptian military jet, but because she put out the plates, they're basically saying that she's doxing them, which is interesting. But she makes a big point. So just to update, so she did do a video today. She did one yesterday. She did one today. So she gave further info. So just to update JJ, because I know what you said before, she actually so 6 days before the supposed murder of Charlie Kirk, there was an Egyptian military jet that landed in Utah, and she actually knows the flight, the actual number. It's BTTSU-BTT, and it was carrying 12 to 14 Egyptians. So she said that today. And her big thing is she's saying that she has a source at the State Department telling her that a foreign military jet cannot land on U.S. soil without the federal government being aware and providing an escort. So it's very interesting.
So yeah, I know what you're talking about with that. It's just, I guess I didn't fully understand that.
Well, she said it today. It came out today. So
yeah, I listened to her thing, but I guess I misspoke. But to me,
yeah,
for that's a big thing to make sure it gets confirmed, because, you know, unless she has the identity of the people that are on the jet, she can't confirm that they were Egyptian.
Yeah, it's just what she's arguing, right?
Right. So unless she can say this person, that person, this person, that person,
right?
She could be saying it because she does this sometimes. She lumps some things together, because because they're getting off of an Egyptian military jet doesn't mean, that's flawed logic. Doesn't mean they're Egyptian unless she has their identity. I guess that was my point. Right.
And let me take a moment. I don't know. Somebody asked a question, and I think they were asking, when I said false flag, what a false flag was. Now they said false hen, and I don't know if they were asking something else, and I'm getting conflated. But let me make sure that I just want to do a plug for State of the Deep and I, Joe and I. So I do cover true crime, and at its heart, the Charlie Kirk assassination and the blaming of Tyler Robinson is a true crime story. Did Tyler Robinson really shoot Charlie Kirk? That's the true crime element, right? But as Charlie Kirk is a major political figure, and I'm doing a whole book series on a book that Joe recommended to me, One Nation Under Blackmail, talking about how the government has been compromised by the mob, is in bed with Israeli intelligence. We have a whole agenda of people who are working, Zionists and the mob, that are working who own our country and use blackmail, such as Jeffrey Epstein's blackmail honeypot scheme of luring in politicians to have sex with underage girls, or whatever the case may be, then get blackmail on U.S. politicians to then own your country and make you afraid if you don't play ball and support their Zionist movement or whatever. Now, I know that's above a lot of people's heads. You don't come to a true crime channel to talk about politics. So where I'm going with all that is, it's a plug for Joe and I on Deep Devils, where we will talk about what a false flag operation is. to make it very, very brief right now, false flag operation is when you carry out an event and then make everybody else believe that another country did it when they didn't, or another person did it that didn't, so that you can blame it on your enemies. That's a false flag. You commit something and then you put somebody else's stamp all over it, like flying in planes from their country or cars with their country all over it. So that everybody goes, oh, it was the Israelis or it was the Egyptians that did it, when really it was you that did it, but you want to do a false flag and make people think it's somebody else so that you can have a pretext to go to war against them or whatever else you want to do to them in the future. It's convoluted. It's a little beyond the scope of true crime, but that's again why Joe and I have a special segment called Deep Devils, where we dive into things like follow the money, psyops, MK Ultra, false flag operations, the deeper things that might be happening on some of these cases that are just, frankly, more than just your average everyday true crime story. So there was another thing I wanted to point out. Let's see if I can share this video now. Now that I know how to do it, hopefully properly, let's see if I can bring up another clip that Joe sent me today for a talking point. And then we'll get into, yeah.
So I was going to say, as you're setting it up, DA, I just want to, I didn't time my comment, I guess, sorry. If I may say quickly, when you find out about the deep state, and maybe Joe already knows, the mob, you'll find out, is on the lower rung, right? And then you got the intelligence agencies, the bankers, the financial system. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about that. And again, I always tell Joe, like, some of that stuff we're going to have to hold off on this show talking about, because I think a lot of the people who are mostly watching the channel are true crimers, and they don't want to get into politics, and they don't want to hear about Trump. We are going to talk a little bit about Trump, but it's mostly for informing the true crime case of Tyler Robinson's defense, whether or not he was the shooter, right? But so let's take another thing. Now, here's the gist of this is Congress. So listen, as I like to say. So people are like, I love it when you say listen, and then you explain something. So listen, I stated Charlie Kirk was pushing for us to release information regarding Jeffrey Epstein. The files, the emails related to Jeffrey Epstein, because a lot of people believe Jeffrey Epstein, who was alleged to have been a pedophile running underage girls and committed suicide in prison, I would venture to say that probably 70% of Americans know damn well that Charlie Epstein didn't commit suicide. He was murdered. And yet the government wants everybody to think that everybody bought that he just murdered himself because he's a twisted pedophile. That's not what happened in that case. I'm 100% convinced. And I'm also convinced that people like Charlie Kirk knew that was bullshit. And Charlie Kirk was pushing for the release of Epstein's emails, little black book, who did Epstein have business with, of which allegations are Donald Trump has all kinds of ties with Jeffrey Epstein's that would be embarrassing to the White House and to our country. In fact, there's many allegations that Epstein has blackmail on the U.S. government, and that's what they're trying to hide. Congress, after the shooting of, now again, Charlie Kirk was pushing for the release of the pressure to release the Epstein emails, the Epstein files, and Congress passed a rule saying, well, we're not going to release them. Then there was a movement where they just voted to go ahead and release the Epstein files now. But listen carefully to this content creator, because he's going to tell you exactly how I feel about the shady bullshit they do to make you think, oh, we're going to come clean now and tell you all about Jeffrey Epstein. Or probably not. Let's hope that I have audio on this one.
Nancy Grace, DA, she's going to solve it. She's going to release the Epstein files, she said tonight, a couple hours ago.
Fantastic. I guess she has a death wish. All right, let's play this and see what happens.
No sound.
You sons of bitches.
Hey, while you set that up, DA,
yeah,
I'm going to expand on what Estes Crime Maze said. During World War II, there were a lot of threats of Nazi infiltration of New York Harbor. One probably knows about this. Yeah. And so that was a time when the government partnered with the mob, because who controlled the ports? It was the mob, longshoremen. The mob controlled the ports. So they started kind of getting in bed with the mob to help them keep an eye on the ports and monitor activity in and around New York Harbor.
Sure.
So that's all in that background is all in the One Nation Under Blackmail. But then it gets way more involved, because then the intelligence agencies, because it was right after World War II that the CIA was formed. So that was, anyway, I just wanted to point that out to people. That's what Estes Crime Maze was talking about.
And
a big. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, as a shameless plug for myself, I like to have I like to read books that inform the stories that I'm covering, and I do that for myself. But I decided to kill two birds with one stone and read the book to you like a bedtime story. And while those kind of books talking about deep politics and deep state and the history behind how the mob owns the government and blah 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 blah, it could be a bit of a snooze fest. But as a plug to myself, I think I deliver it pretty entertaining. So it's not entertaining enough that the YouTube algorithm wants to send it out to thousands and thousands of people. So we put it as members only content because it'll hurt the channel if only a few people are into it. But if you're into that kind of stuff, some of the deeper conversations, I think, and Robin would second me on this, I think I can deliver pretty deep topics with a bit of humor and a little simplicity onto it to make it entertaining. So
no doubt.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's an amazing series. I'll put the link to the playlist here in the chat. You have to, because as we all know, no one tells a story like DA, and trust me, no one gives a book review like DA either. So I'll go ahead and grab the link here real quick.
We are definitely, by the way, on that book series, we're definitely skirting the lines of fair use because I read a large amount of her book and we're kind of in the muddy areas, but I am putting my own interpretation, my own spin on it, and that's why it's allowed for fair use. All right.
Yeah.
If this doesn't work for audio, I have one more attempt to it. So let's hope that this is it, though.
Breaking news, the House of Representatives just passed the legislation to release the Epstein files nearly unanimously, 427 to 1. The only no vote was Clay Higgins from Louisiana, so he's going to have some explaining to do. And this all comes after Trump reversed course at the last minute to endorse the vote. So what does this mean? Well, we'll have to wait and see because A, the Senate still has to vote on it, but B, there is one word in this legislation that can make all the difference. So here it is. It says no later than 30 days after the date of enactment of this act, the Attorney General shall make available in a searchable and downloadable format all unclassified records, documents, and communications and investigative materials in possession of the Department of Justice, including the FBI and the United States Attorney's offices. Unclassified, which is to say there are a lot of things they could potentially put under that bucket. Now, when asked why that clause is in there, Thomas Massie responded saying, quote, "You have to put that in there if you're going to get them to sign it. It's not something I would sit and say, let's put that in there. It's something that when you run the bill past other colleagues and say, can you sign this? In fact, can you get every Democrat to sign it? It's one of those things that we felt was necessary to put in there." Not only that, Trump is also asking the Department of Justice to investigate the Epstein ties to a slew of other high-profile figures, which could actually, in effect, shield a bunch of these guys from public scrutiny because all the documents will be, quote, under investigation. So unfortunately, this may not be the big win that the American people were voting for. Let's wait and see what happens, and let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments.
All right. So for those people who don't understand the nuances of what is being said, it looks to America, those who are not thinking clearly and not listening, what they just heard was, oh, they're going to release the Epstein files. No. They're going to release all the unclassified Epstein files. And let me make sure you understand what that means. Anything that has to do with national security, i.e. your president may have been banging an underage girl, or the governor of your state may have been banging an underage. All of that is classified information because it's a danger to the nation to come out in public. And so therefore, all of that kind of shit will be hidden under the guise of national security. This is how they hide that shit. So they make you think they just released all the Epstein files. No, they released all of the stuff that won't be damaging to the U.S. government. So
they did the exact same thing, DA, with the Kennedy assassination, as you may know. Trump said, I'll release some files, and what files you don't want me to release, I won't release. Meanwhile, there's been no sensitive people on the ground. Everybody's pretty much dead at this point, but way back then. So it's a joke, and we've been pushing for the Epstein files. This infuriates me, but
yeah, it should. It should infuriate. And people like you, I know you would be infuriated.
I mean, come on, guys. You really think? Just let's all think about this for a second. When has the government ever investigated the government and found themselves to be guilty? What are the chances of that? Let's really put on our thinking caps here. When's the last time the government investigated the government and found themselves guilty? I can't recall a time. I mean, the church committee hearings, that happened, but that many will say, many people like us would say, well, it's a limited hangout. They investigated some things that were going to probably come out anyway.
Yeah.
But who knows how many things we didn't hear about in the church committee hearings, and on and on and on and on. You guys get the point.
Right.
Yep.
And the best thing they do is it gives you, the American people, the perception that they looked into it. It's just like when they write, hey, we did an investigation. We're going to come out with the name of was the Warren Commission. What was the one that came out, the big report of the Kennedy, right?
Yeah, the Warren Commission.
We looked into
Warren
it.
Commission.
Yeah. Here it is. Yep. We looked into it, and it makes you feel like they did their due diligence, but a whole bunch of shit was just covered up in that investigation, which is the way that shit works.
And the 9/11 Commission.
Right. Yeah. Same kind of thing. So I got a couple of more articles I wanted to show on screen. This one in particular, I wish I had the video of it, but I didn't, unfortunately, find the video of it. Actually, I got to go back to presenting the screen, share screen, and share the entire screen, and share that screen, and bada bing, and put it on stage. Trump calls for ABC's license to be revoked after a reporter asks him about the Jeffrey Epstein files. And I shit you not, I told you this is the way it works. As soon as Trump, and it wasn't just Trump, so let's be fair, and I'm not political. This isn't because I'm a Democrat and I'm busting Trump's nuts. I give a shit about either party. But I told you, when we started throwing around the term fake news, then what you do is anytime you report on something as a reporter that I don't like, I say you're fake news. And therefore, you're not invited to the White House anymore to cover anything to do with the White House because your agency is reporting fake news. And fake news is the definition. Anything I don't want you to talk about is fake news. So Trump calls on ABC's license to be revoked after a reporter asks him about the Jeffrey Epstein files. President Trump called ABC's broadcast license to be revoked after ABC's News White House correspondent Mary Bruce asked him why he has not released the Jeffrey Epstein files. Your news is so fake and so wrong, Trump told Bruce in the Oval Office as he met with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. It goes on to say that Trump asked for ABC's license to be revoked so that they can't have access to the White House anymore because you're asking questions that Trump doesn't want you to ask. President Trump on Tuesday called for ABC's broadcast license to be revoked as he highly angrily lashed out at a reporter from the network who asked him why he's not released the files on notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. I think you're a terrible reporter, Trump told the ABC News White House correspondents. The president said that he did not like that person's attitude. What does that mean? I don't like you coming into the White House and asking questions. It's an embarrassment to the White House, so I don't like your attitude. You need to play ball like all the other mainstream media who's gotten bootlicking to a science. So get in line with all your bootlickers and ask questions that are softballed, that the American people can feel good about at the end of the day. I don't like your attitude. You're not invited to my White House if you're going to ask questions that are difficult to answer. We only invite people who pitch softballs. And yes, I realize I lose people as I'm talking politics. I'm not trying to talk politics. I'm trying to just tell you that these kind of things are what keeps me up at night. Pisses me off to no extent. So that was one of them. Another article that I was going to put on screen, Trump attacks Taylor Greene and Massey for standing up to him on the Epstein issue, but no harsh words for anti-Semitism on Tucker Carlson's show. So again, anybody who questions Trump about the Jeffrey Epstein files, one has to ask why. By the way, and I can't remember the names, but I'm going to bring my panel up and see if you guys remember, because one of the things that was coming out in the emails, let me see if you guys remember. So I'm crossing my fingers. I'm not wrong, and I'm crossing my fingers. One of you knows what I'm talking about. One of the young women who came out against Jeffrey Epstein in the trial showing that he was running underage girls through his honeypot, her name shows up as being at Epstein's mansion when Trump was there several times in the emails. So there's a direct correlation to Trump being there when this underage girl is there. Now, again, does that mean Trump was seeing the underage girl? No. But these are the kind of embarrassments Trump doesn't want to have to answer. Why is it known that this underage girl has been at Epstein's mansion and is accusing him of running underage girls through his mansion, and Trump happens to be there on multiple occasions when she's there? Do you know who I'm talking about? Do any of you guys know the name?
Are you talking about Virginia Dufresne?
It might be.
Because Virginia Dufresne supposedly was a masseuse, massage therapist.
Yep.
And she worked at Mar-a-Lago and allegedly this is the story. Jeffrey Epstein stole her away from Trump, and then they had a big beef about it. I don't buy that story personally. Do you know that she died mysteriously?
God damn it. No, Joe. No.
If it's Virginia Dufresne you're talking about, she wrote a book and she died mysteriously.
It is. Yep.
Sorry, DA, you can't interview her. Damn it.
You know, I hate it when people have accidents when they start talking about important shit. I don't know what it is about the universe that it seems to kill people in accidents and heart attacks and all kinds of shit whenever they talk about major political figures. I wish the universe didn't work that way, but it does.
Yeah, I mean, it's what a coincidence that all these people that are connected to these powerful people in controversial cases just have these crazy accidents or they get sick with mysterious illnesses. It's amazing.
That's a whole other subject we can get into one day, right?
Gosh darn it, man. I'm going to lose my mind. Subject. And again,
by the way, just to let you guys know real quick before I forget, before the live is over tonight, I'm fixated on Candace Owens. You guys brought up the lovely Candace Owens. And what was I going to say about her? Oh, I'm going to try to maybe get a shirt or a sweater because it's winter time, but maybe a shirt too. And it's going to say Candace Owens, the queen of CI Limited Hangout. Thanks for listening.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah.
She could be. I mean, I at this point.
Yeah.
But I love you, Candace.
Look, at this point, I'm starting to believe that anybody that gets big has some connection to these, whether it's directly or by proxy to these powerful entities. And if you're attached to powerful entities, you're attached to intelligence agencies.
Yeah, unfortunately, Joe, that's
default.
The game. You got the game figured out, Joe. You're one of the few people that do, especially on YouTube, man. To your credit.
Yeah. So it's kind of frustrating, but again, that's why you got to pull the threads, and eventually you figure things out.
But it makes you wonder what is the agenda with Candace? You know,
controlled opposition. You know,
no, I'm just saying it's because she's connected to a lot of people, and you know what are they? You know, what is the overall goal with her?
Well, like Lee said earlier,
pushing out certain info. You know.
Yeah, like Lee said earlier, he hinted at that maybe Candace pushes out certain information that they want you to hear. Distraction, distraction, distraction. What's next on the plate here, DA?
Yeah. So, and I almost was going to riff on that, but we someday Joe and I are going to probably talk on Deep Devils. We're going to talk about what limited hangouts really mean and how that works. But that gets, again, we lose people the more we talk about politics. So that I'm going to end the Charlie Kirk stuff for today on what terrifies me as a YouTuber. This is the part that terrifies me as a YouTuber. And that is this right here. And it's a bit of a lengthy article, but I want to read this. Bipartisan senators, meaning both houses, right? I mean, Democrats and Republicans, want to honor Charlie Kirk by making it easier to censor the internet. Democratic Senator Mark Kelly and Republican Senator John Curtis want to gut Section 230 to combat political radicalization in honor of Charlie Kirk, whose entire career was built on political radicalization. The two senators spoke at an event at the Utah University where Charlie Kirk was shot to talk about how they are hoping to stop political violence. That's a worthwhile goal, but their proposed solution reveals that they don't understand how Section 230 actually works. The senators used their bipartisan panel on Wednesday to announce plans to hold social media companies accountable for the type of harmful content promoted around the assassination of Kirk, which they say leads to political violence. So, listen, if I cover Charlie Kirk, they will say, guess what, YouTube? You allowed Lee to talk about Charlie Kirk. That makes people angry and upset about the government. Therefore, we are going to shut you down or sue you ungodly amounts of money because you're responsible for Lee opening his mouth. Now, if you want to fix that, don't let Lee have a platform on your show. Shut him down. Don't give him reach. Don't show, because if you show people Lee's content and we think it promotes political violence because we don't like what he has to say about the government, we're going to shut you down and fine you out of existence. So, during their televised discussion, Curtis and Kelly previewed a bill that they intended to introduce shortly that would remove the liability protection for social media companies. Right now, social media companies have liability. They're not responsible for what I say. That's their argument. And they've got protections. Lee's comments are not reflecting of what YouTube believes, right? They'll have a disclaimer somewhere. The opinions of Lee Farrell do not potentially represent YouTube. And that's how they get around it. But they want to remove that protection from social media so that social media can be sued for anything I say. And if they decide that I'm a political danger, they can go after YouTube with the money. So
yeah, what they
can I speak to that just a second?
Yeah,
sure.
I'm sorry, Jason. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jason.
No, well, I was just going to say real quick. There's a big YouTuber. I won't mention his name. I did a brief interview with him at the end of his live when he was inviting guests. But in his videos, he says, he gets demonetized if he says that Kirk, was extracted, or is alive. He doesn't use the word extraction. So, and now he won't allow anybody to say that Kirk is potentially alive. It was all staged. So he's in it for the money instead of the truth. And it's a damn shame because he's got a big channel. I'm not going to mention, I like him, but that's very disappointing. And YouTube said when they thought that he said that Kirk was alive, they said, you can't go against Kirk's victimhood. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? So we're already censored to the max. It's wild. Sorry, Rob, go ahead.
You got a point too?
Thanks for letting me talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course. And let's think about this, people, really. If they're going to do this to social media and they get away with it, okay? They're already censoring books, they're banning books, they're burning books. It's going to fall to books. Now, okay,
Sure.
They're specifically at this moment talking about romance. Okay, now I know that might sound trivial, but if they're censoring romance books, pretty soon books like Whitney Webb's are going to be a thing of the past, because if they get away with this on social media and they get away with it with freaking ass romance books, there go all kinds of other books to do with real.
Thanks for bringing that to the public attention, Rob.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm gonna finish this article and hopefully not lose the entire audience, because it's a huge thing. It's not just me protecting my YouTube channel. It's freedom of speech that is being attacked, because this is the only platform we have as Americans to talk to other Americans to try to wake them up, and they want to take it away from you by saying, well, we're gonna sue the hell out of YouTube if they allow Lee to give his opinions to anybody. And they would argue that's not censorship of your free speech. It's just censorship of your reach. We don't have to give you reach. You can talk all you want in your closet, but we don't have to give you reach.
That's what Elon scumbag Musk said. Freedom of speech is not freedom of reach. And he's a government front man, and in my opinion, Mossad agent. I'm going to do whole videos on him. And hopefully Joe will interview me and allow me to speak freely on Elon Musk. But that's a whole other subject.
I want to briefly comment on Amanda B's comment, because this is what I don't want to spend a lot of time with you guys on it right now. But here's what Amanda B. Yes. Jeffrey Epstein reportedly, and it's been, I know what you're talking about. I've seen it. I think it's legit, 100% legit. It's not just a rumor. Jeffrey Epstein reportedly kept a bizarre painting in his main room of former President Bill Clinton wearing a dress and red heels, I believe, and a blue dress and red heels in his Manhattan mansion. That is reportedly true. What does that suggest? I own your president. I can do whatever the fuck. I own your country. I own your president. That's to me the message that's sent. Right when you walk in, you get to see a picture of your president in a dress and red heels. It's mocking. There's nothing you can do about it. I own your country.
For sure. I hope you didn't do that with Joe and his pig panties you guys had talked about owning Joe that way.
On the download for members only. So
okay, sorry.
We charge extra for that stuff.
All right, let's finish this article real quick. During their televised discussion, Curtis and Kelly previewed a bill that they intend to introduce shortly that would remove liability protection for social media companies that boost content that contributes to political and radicalization and violence. The Algorithm Accountability Act is what it's called, would transform one of the pillars of the internet's governance by reforming a 30-year-old regulation known as Section 230 that gives online platforms legal immunity for content posts by their users. So they want to remove that. Algorithm Accountability Act means if you promote Lee and we don't like what he says, you're accountable for what he says. You have no protections. We'll shut you down or sue you if we don't like what he says. What we're saying is that this is creating an environment that is causing all sorts of harm in our society, particularly with our youth, and it needs to be addressed. So they're going to address it by suing YouTube for what anybody says. The bill would strip Section 230 protections from companies if it can be proven in court that they use the algorithm to amplify content that caused harm. So again, if they promote my content, if I get popular talking about Charlie Kirk didn't kill, Charlie Kirk. Did I just say Charlie Kirk? Yeah, I did. Charlie Kirk's right. Tyler Robinson. Did Tyler Robinson kill Charlie Kirk? If I say that and they don't like it, they'll say I'm promoting political dissidence or harm, and therefore they can sue YouTube if they promote me saying, hey, maybe Tyler Robinson didn't do it, because that's where it's going. We said he did do it. Lee says he didn't. If you promote his video saying he didn't, we will sue you because it is fact that he did it. And that's the way we're going. So like so many politicians who want to gut to Section 2, whatever, they don't understand how it works. It goes on and on. We don't need to read it all. I hope that people are a little afraid about that trend. I hope you keep your eyes out. I hope you squawk when somebody mentions the Algorithm Accountability Act and say, oh, no, hell no, we do not want you having an Algorithm Accountability Act and making it so that you too can be sued if somebody says something that you don't like as the government. It should be extremely scary. It's the removal of free speech eroded. So let's end on a couple things, one on Luigi Manjoni very quickly, one on Rex Heuermann, and then we'll open it up for comments from the Peanut Gallery, our audience. I shouldn't call them the Peanut Gallery, the denizens. Holy shit, that was so good. So let me cover a couple of real quick things. I was going to pull up the slide, but you don't need a slide saying Luigi Manjoni. Let's just go right to Luigi Manjoni. Here's Luigi Manjoni. Luigi Manjoni's attorneys are questioning damning statements tied to the accused CEO shooter's mom. Now, this is important to me. When I was back, I'm going to tell you a quick story. When I was starting into true crime, I studied the Aurora, Colorado shooting. During that story, they told all over the news a story that when the shooting happened, James Holmes was allegedly the shooter of the Aurora, Colorado theater, where he killed 12 people and injured 70 or something like that. And they called his mom at like 3 a.m. on the opposite coast and said, and it was reported in the news, that when reporters called James Holmes' mother to ask about her son who just shot up the theater, if he was the one that shot the theater, she said, you got the right guy. And that's what they reported over and over again. Mother of James Holmes admits they got the right guy in this shooting. She went on national TV with a lawyer and a bunch of people and said, that's fucking not what just happened. They called me at 3 a.m. and said, are you Arlene Holmes, the mother of James Holmes? And she said, yes, you got the right person. And that got reported in the news as his own mother said, that's the right guy who did the shooting in the theater that night. And they used it in part to convince America that even his own mother knows he's the shooter. They did the same shit with Luigi Manjoni, according to his attorneys, Karen Agnifilo. This is what they're saying. So it came out very early. I remember the statement myself in the news. It came from NYPD, 11, so be careful. This is coming from NYPD, who told us that even his mother said, yeah, he's the shooter, probably. So the attorneys for accused healthcare CEO attorneys for accused healthcare CEO killer Luigi Manjoni are questioning the validity of a damning statement allegedly made by Manjoni's mother, who have raised the possibility that the statement was made up by the head of NYPD's Detective Bureau, who repeated the statement at a press conference recently released in court filings. In a Manhattan Supreme Court filing made on Wednesday, attorney Karen Agnifilo claims that she hasn't received any documents from the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg that corroborates the statement made by Manjoni's mother, Kathleen Manjoni, that that shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson might be something she could see her son doing. So that's what they said. NYPD came on the press and said, yeah, we talked to his mom, and his mom said, that's the kind of thing I can see my son doing. And it convinced a lot of people at the time that, yep, Luigi Manjoni's own mother knows he's the shooter in the case. Now, what they're arguing is NYPD Chief Detective Joseph Kenney claimed at a press conference that Manjoni's mom made the statement. However, at the bottom line is no discovery has been provided whatsoever to the defense of where his mother said that. And in fact, they have reason to believe his mother never did say that. And it still hasn't. They keep asking, where is your proof? Where's the discovery that shows you had an interview with his mother and that his mother said, yeah, you got the right guy. He's the kind of guy I think that would do the shooting. They still won't cough it up. So at the end of the day, Karen Agnifilo said it may in fact be true that she said it, but no discovery has been provided, and we don't believe that his mother said it, and they won't cough up this supposed statement, but yet it went public, and a lot of people I feel in America made an assumption, a belief about Luigi Manjoni, if his own mother is willing to say, yeah, I can see my son being the kind of guy that does that kind of thing. Do you guys have any feelings or thoughts about that kind of stuff?
It's just classic, flooding the zone with information that's it's not reliable. and trying to sway the public opinion.
Classic.
Yep.
Classic
Classic
psyop.
operations, right? Yeah.
Classic psyop. Wait for my next shirt, man. Go ahead, Joe. It's coming tomorrow. I'm going to receive it in a few days. A nice lady friend of mine is mailing it to me, so look out.
There you go. We should
So
all
that's
wear
all we
them.
need to talk about Luigi Manjoni for now. It's not that Luigi. Let me reiterate. I have to face this a lot. Luigi Manjoni is a major case for me. I feel it's extremely important. I think the underlying issues in America about the healthcare system and what might drive somebody, if that's what happened, to commit murder because the healthcare system is a predatory healthcare system, that's an issue we should be discussing as a nation, in my opinion. So that story I'm not going to let go. And by the way, they violated Luigi Manjoni's constitutional rights at least 4 times, if not 5 times. I've got a problem with that as well, because even if he is the shooter, we have rights in America. And if you're gonna throw the law out to convict somebody, even if they're guilty, then we might as well not be a nation of laws. So you either play by the law or you don't play by the law. So enough of that for now. We will be covering Luigi Manjoni, continuing. I will have attorneys on talking about it again. Ali Benevento loves to talk to Luigi Manjoni. I'm going to have her on the show. Lovely Ali Benevento, attorney from South Carolina. Love to have her on and talk about it. We're going to do that the next time a major legal document drops. I almost guarantee you. All right. Last thing I want to point out is the Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann case. The new podcast Monster, diving into the Long Island serial killer case. Monster is a podcast franchise returning with a new series, Monster Hunting the Long Island Serial Killer, hosted by filmmaker Josh Zeman. The reason I want to highlight this is for several reasons. Josh Zeman did a great series on the Long Island Serial Killer called, is it The Killing Season? Right?
Yeah, Killing Season.
The Killing Season. I got it wrong, said The Killing Fields one time, because that's a famous thing that has nothing to do with The Killing Season. Killing Season, season 1 was about the Long Island serial killer. Josh Zeman was on the trail of Rex Heuermann before Rex Heuermann was identified, and they had several things that they got real close to breaking some stuff. It looks like Josh Zeman's going back and saying, how close were we back when we made that documentary? Now, here's the feather in my cap, and hope I don't oversell this. Josh Zeman knows who I am. His producer has talked to me. They want to do something with me. They want to get on an interview with me. Josh Zeman had a major documentary come out just recently, and he's traveling the world for his Checkpoint Zoo documentary, which I think he may have been nominated, or at least he's in the running for being nominated for a Grammy or Oscar. Not Grammy for that. Is that a Grammy?
No.
Anyways.
No, Oscar.
Oscar. An Oscar. Yeah, he's being considered for a nomination for
an Emmy.
I did say it right the first time.
No, you said a Grammy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna sing.
So, yeah, not songs, the Oscar for television and film. So anyway, so he I don't know how far it's gone. I just know that he was in the running for that. Point being is that I'm not saying Josh and I are buddies, wink, wink, nod, nod, but he did respond to my email. He thought it was a great idea. His producer thought it was a great idea. And he told me, hey, look, I'm going to be super busy until December. So I'm crossing my fingers that Josh hasn't gotten so big that he's not going to hold through to that. I'm not going to bust his balls if he drops out. But chances are good. Robin and I are going to be working hard and getting that established and getting something set up with Josh Zeman. And he's got a new podcast coming out delving into how close were we back there in the day. And by the way, some of the theories, here's the thing that I think is so excited about the Lisk case. The Lisk trial is never going to delve into the stuff that I'm talking about, or in my opinion, what Josh Zeman touched on, which is the police corruption involved in this, whether or not that he was involved with officers, whether or not there was more than one killer, potentially, not just Rex Heuermann, but maybe multiple killers. Was his family potentially in there? Things that I've talked to Attorney John Ray, where he thinks Rex's family was involved in it. Anyways, I still believe that case is going to be huge, despite the fact that it's really only going to be, did Rex Heuermann kill these 7 people, yes or no? And they're not going to ask the questions in the trial about police corruption or the family's involvement, but other people are, including myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed our little show tonight. I know that we had a dip in numbers. We moved across Idaho 4. That's fine. It's going to happen. Idaho 4 still seems to be the thing that YouTube knows about me. If I was 100% Charlie Kirk, I'd be doing fine. But since I'm 5 different cases, YouTube thinks I'm an Idaho 4 guy, and it's just one of the cases. My panelists as well, I've drugged them kicking and screaming through the mud to cover more than one case. So they're not one-trick ponies as well. They are, I'm just kidding. I didn't have to drag any of these guys through the mud. By the way, the people who are on stage with me are on here for a reason. I didn't just pick random people. These people are all hand selected because of some special talent, gift, or way of thinking that I want. And I think that they're a good mix. So it is very strategic, the people you're seeing on screen. They're here for a reason, and I hope you guys enjoy them, and I hope you enjoy our show. I hope you continue to watch us every night at 6 p.m. Hope you watch Joe and I when we get into the Deep Devils thing. I know Estes is chomping at the bit to get with us on that show, so I'm sure we're going to have to bring him in on that, because I know Estes has got a lot of thoughts on that as well. Open up for comments. Anybody have any last minute questions on any case that I'm covering? Idaho 4, Luigi Manjoni, Mickey Steins, which we didn't even talk about tonight, the guy that shot the judge in the judge's chambers, Long Island serial killer, Tyler Kirk, Tyler Robinson. I did it. I conflated them. Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk. Anybody have any comments, questions on the way out?
I just think the trip to Moscow, for me, opened up my eyes in certain ways about the Idaho 4 case, that it just started to sort of get some things bubbling up that I hadn't thought about too much lately. It kind of reinvigorated my belief that we've been told a line of BS from day one, which I've felt that all along. But being there, seeing the close quarters in that area, seeing how close the Banfield was and Sigma Chi, and how close together. I mean, really tight streets, apartments right on top of each other. It really makes you start rethinking some of the things.
Yeah. And I think, and it's funny because you don't know until you go out there how it's going to affect you. It had a big impact. Like I said, it was a great thing for us, I think, because again, another channel who covers crimes and stuff like that saw me talking to Birdie about it, and they're like, can you come on our show and show that same clip of your visit? Because we have questions about what you and Joe did in Idaho, and we really like that kind of thing. So I think people dig the true crime on the boots stuff, which, as Robin says, not a lot of people are doing it. Joe and I not only went on the boots, we drove around town on members only thing, raw footage of Joe and I talking about all kinds of inappropriate shit. Like the funny moment when I had to pull over and change the camera battery, and I just managed to accidentally pull into the Moscow Police Department's parking lot at night on camera while I got out of my car and changed my battery. So that was hysterical. That kind of shit, as Joe said, you literally could not have planned that. That just happened live on the air. So it's funny shit. So any other questions, comments?
What did you do with the birdseed bag?
And the birdseed, what about it?
The birdseed camera holder.
Yeah.
What'd you do with the birdseed?
The bird seed's in the back of my car, unfortunately, and we have a lot of birds here, so I might feed the birds, but I never know how I feel about that. Like, do we make them starve to death because now they're used to coming and getting easy seed? I don't know. Should they be out there foraging and not coming to my house for the bird feeder? I don't know how I feel about it, but we might feed the birds outside their house.
You should save that for posterity.
Yeah.
Who else can say they have a birdseed bag camera holder? I mean, you know.
Any other comments, questions, concerns from tonight, or anything you guys want to weigh in on any of the cases?
If I may ask, DA, are you considering seriously of putting some clips up of perhaps Christy G and that interview we talked about with Maddie just bought a new how, and there's a clip, and I could probably find it, or a fellow researcher friend, where apparently Christy, said we got to get this right. And again, I think they were on I think they were involved in a big operation, and let's keep in mind, they're making a lot of money. These are my opinions about them as actors and all this. And Lee has a different point of view, perhaps, and that's okay. I'll make you a deal, Jason. You send to my email, Devil's Advocates 2024, the one or two clips that you're talking about and the timestamp of the relevant moment, and I will put them on the show tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. Oh, geez, I got some work to do. I got to go. Good night. I got to get some sleep.
Or whenever you're ready. But I'll get them on the show as soon as you send them to me. Yeah.
Thanks.
I've got one of them. I've got one of them saved.
Okay.
It's in my queue on YouTube, but I know the other one. I saw the other one you're talking about. We could figure that out.
Thanks for helping, Joe. That'd be great. I'd like to show that to the audience, the Idaho 4 true crime junkies, along with us. That'd be cool.
I guess it's okay. By the way, I mean, I understand keeping the bird seed for posterity or for a memory thing, but Cheryl Fitzgerald, who watches the show, she's a huge animal lover, and if she tells me that it's safe to feed the birds, then it's probably safe to feed the birds. So maybe I'll feed the birds, but we'll see. Any other?
Yeah, two things to throw out there. One, this I know there's a lot of people here that they're here for the Idaho 4, but for those of you who are not, as keen on the not the Charlie, because the Epstein stuff, just to put it out there and remind everyone that I believe Epstein's brother, he did reach out, I guess, whatever connection he had, and Dr. Baden, our famous forensic he is the quintessential, if you wanted someone to do some kind of forensic, study or whatnot, or investigation, he's the one that you would want to have. Again, he's got a million shows on HBO and wherever else called Autopsy. So he did a review of the whole Epstein, and he did a further autopsy, and through his determination, he decided that Epstein did kill him. I mean, Epstein did not kill himself because of the hyoid bone in the throat. So
I saw that interview.
I would trust what he says. Could he ever be wrong in something? Of course, we're not perfect, but he is the quintessential person that would establish, if he says that he thinks it's a homicide,
probably homicide.
I would put my bag, I would put my, ducks in that pond. And the second thing, I'm sure we'll cover more tomorrow or another day. There's a lot more further information having to do with Charlie Kirk and Tyler Robinson, stuff about footage and the cars and whatnot. I'm sure DA will do a further discussion. I'm sure about that, because it's just that is just like a huge operation, and there's a lot of different angles to look at that. So I'm sure that'll come up further in the week.
I have one more comment. Thank you, Joe, for the epic thumbnails, helping me out that way. And thanks, 11, for sending me an email, I believe from Cat's Mojo, who also did a nice picture of me saying PSYOP. So thanks for all the support, everybody. Appreciate it.
Okay, give me 1 second, because somebody asked a question. I was going to ask Robin to figure out for the future how we can do it, but I'm going to try to do it real quick. Do you believe, I'm going to be a yes or no question. I'm going to type this poll in and put it up real quick. Do you believe one person could have done all the murders in the Idaho 4 alone? Yes, no question. Somebody said, I just want to know a yes, no, they asked in the poll, but it didn't go off because when you text it. So I'm going to start a poll and see if it works. Will this pop up? Will that pop up for our YouTube users?
Yeah. Yeah, it popped up.
All right.
There we go.
Do you, and hopefully I didn't get a typo. I'm doing it on the fly and it's hard to see. So we're doing a quick poll real quick. 100% no, one person can't do it so far. I'm not getting metrics on how many people have voted, but if you got a chance to vote, give yourself a little time to vote here real quick on our poll. Looks like we've got 15 votes. 15 votes so far, and at least people who watch DA's show doesn't think it's possible for one person to have done all 4 murders alone. 100%, 17 people, still 100%. No, one person can't do it alone. Anybody else? 21 votes, 100%. No, can't do it alone.
For sure.
Anybody else want to chime in?
Ethan would have kicked their ass, in my opinion. Ethan, I know you're listening somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think, based on all the information that we know and the questionable narratives flying around, it just doesn't seem likely.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. We got about 23 votes, and 100% people who watch Devil's Advocates don't think that it's possible for one person to have killed everybody in the Idaho 4 by themselves. 100% agreement. That's a great way to end for the evening. Thank you guys for having an open mind and being critical thinkers. Jason Estes, thank you. Robin, thank you. 1-1, thank you. Joe, State of the Deep, thank you for being on the show tonight. Have a great one. We'll see you again tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the next live.
Bye, everybody.
Good
Bye,
night,
guys.
Good night. Peace out.